Turns out, having your girlfriend stolen, having your house burned down with your pets in it, your dogs brutally killed, and being castrated was actually the best thing that could have happened to me. My name's Louis Angel. If you don't know who I am, I'm a self-improvement YouTuber, specifically aimed at sensitive men, feminine men, emotional men, femboys, submissive men, although anyone who doesn't fit into that category is still welcome. And I'm basically talking about reaching nirvana. Now, I wouldn't quite be... So, I recently had an experience, a transcendent experience. Not really, but that's the best way I can describe it. So, I feel like anyone... I wouldn't hesitate to say some people have probably never experienced this, but I feel like there's also a lot of people who have. Have you ever had this... I feel like I've had this experience a few times as a kid where I just felt... I don't want to say transcendent, I don't want to say I found God, but I felt light as a feather. I felt free. I felt unburdened. And when I was a kid, before discovering Buddhism or getting really into Christianity or anything, the few times I felt that way were when I was watching an action movie and I saw like the warrior give up his life or the martyr give up his life for his highest calling, and I put myself in their position. And I felt unburdened. Like, yeah, like imagine being the warrior who knows the cause is dying, who knows he's giving up his life for nothing, but he still gives it up to the cause, and he dies in the process. And in that final moment, he feels completely free because he's done all he possibly could, and he's now unburdened from the journey. Leonidas from 300 comes to mind, and the other one is like the same thing but a martyr, like someone, I can't think of an example, so I'm just gonna say someone from Game of Thrones, like one of the, what's it called, the faith militant, like they know they're gonna die, and yet they still fight the soldiers, and they get killed, but like you're fighting for your faith, for your God. You feel like a sort of peace in the end. So that's when I saw it as a kid, when I imagined myself as the martyr or the hero fighting the losing battle. The way I experienced it recently, in the past year, I've experienced it twice. The past year, like after getting into Buddhism. I don't want to call it nirvana or jhanas because I'm not so arrogant to believe that I've achieved nirvana, but like according to official Buddhist like scriptures, it is possible for a patujana, for a what's the word for patujana? For a worldly being, for an uninstructed worldling, that's the way it's translated. It is possible for a patujana or an uninstructed worldling to reach nirvana. They just can't maintain it because they view it, they view it as theirs, they take possession of it. But anyways, so it could have been nirvana. More probably, it was probably like the first level of jhana, which are like these meditative states in Buddhism that help you reach enlightenment. Like there's 4 jhanas. There's the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. I don't remember them too well. I know that the first one is like rapture, which I felt. It felt like a rapturous joy. So anyways, so the first time I described it was over the summer, and it was when I was really focusing on a few videos by this YouTube channel called Einzelganger, Einzelganger. He has a few videos on like celibacy and being single, and I clicked on one of the links he had in the video to a tricycle article about this woman in her 40s who decided to give up dating and sex and become celibate, like as a layperson Buddhist. And when I really thought about that, I imagined, okay, imagine the worst case scenario. Imagine you will never have sex again, and imagine you will never, ever have a relationship. And be happy with that. Find contentment in that. And I felt so free. It felt intensely relaxing. It felt rapturous joy. It felt like I was unburdened, unshackled, and I could just like be. It was the happiest I'd ever felt. And it quickly went away. Didn't last very long. And I tried to recapture it a bit, but not to much avail. And it happened to me yesterday for the second time. I was walking home for 1 hour because I had missed the bus, and along the way I had quite a lot to think about. And I thought about, okay, worst case scenario, I don't get a wife, no relationship, no sex. What can I do? What can I do to find meaning in my life? I can work as hard as I can to make money to buy lots of pets, like rescues, so that I can give them good lives, and I don't need to be, you don't need to be rich to contribute to a charity. I can, when I move back to Costa Rica or if I stay in America, I can get heavily involved in the publicity for a charity that helps dogs or helps animals and really spread the word so that my impact has a difference. And in Costa Rica, especially where pets aren't treated as good as here, like I could help spread awareness for their treatments. Like I could help animals. Now, what's the worst case scenario for that? Imagine I fail at my job, at my business ventures, and I just become an old man living in like a little shack with lots of dogs rescued from the street. Because if I can't have a family, I can give happiness to those dogs. We haven't reached the worst case scenario, by the way. This is just how I would cope with life, how I would try to build life in my failure. The worst case scenario would be, this is kind of cringy, but I took it out of Chainsaw Man like a few chapters ago where they burned down Denji's house and burned his dogs. Imagine if someone, due to malicious intent, let's say I angered a drug dealer in Costa Rica or something like that. Let's say they burned down my house and my dogs. The dogs that I love and cherish burned alive. And the person purposely did it to spite me. In the Chainsaw Man manga, the guy who did it said, "You know, I thought about killing that girl you like, Asa Mikata, but you barely know her. Dogs are much more flammable." And in that moment, he's just staring at him angry, and he ends up attacking him. But the guy was trying to get a row out of him. He was trying to rouse him. So I thought, okay, if that happened to me, I would probably start crying. I would start punching the ground. I would start, like, honestly, I would hold my head until maybe my nails dig into my head and it bleeds. I would start scratching myself out of frustration, start hitting my head like sort of like someone with autism does. I would have so overwhelming emotions that I would like react physically in this way, and I would be intensely angered. But with the Buddhist and Christian teachings and my spirituality in general, I would hold off. And I think, okay, he wants to get you angry, so let's not give it to him. But even more than that, if you kill him or try to fight him, it doesn't solve anything. How would you be really free? By forgiving him. So I imagine myself forgiving this man who burned down my house and my dogs, walking up to him with a smile and kissing him on the lips, the way Jesus did to Judas, and telling him, "Thank you for letting me reach this state." Because in that moment when I imagined forgiving this man, I felt the same rapturous joy as before. A rapturous joy, an intense relaxation, floating like there's a light inside of me. I felt unburdened and unshackled. This story also assumes that my parents and brother are dead, because they're something I have to live for as well. And I tell him, you know what? Doing this is something terrible. Killing innocent animals. In order for you to do this, you have to be going through quite a bit of pain in your life. I hope you find peace. This man who hurt me, I hope he finds peace. You are a biological organism. You want to reproduce, you want to find food, that is the goal of life as a biological organism, and you're constantly feel stressed out about your next source of food, whether it be sustenance or sexual, about how you're going to get it, about what it's going to cost you, about if there's danger in the way, and you feel frustrated when there are other people trying to get the same food. The competition feels, even if you're a person who's hardworking and like you really, really derive fulfillment and pleasure from the competition, it's still a source of stress. And once you get your goal, you're immediately focused on the next goal, and how you can keep it. Once you get the money, you immediately focus on, okay, how can I allocate my assets so the government doesn't take my money? Let's put it in this Swedish bank. Let's put it in this foreign bank. Okay, how can I get more money? I need more money. Okay, I got the girl, but actually there's that girl that's cuter. Okay, now how can I tie her down? Marriage. Okay, now how can I make sure she never cheats on me, make more money, become an even better man? There's no end to it. And when you just let go of all these of this biological rat race, like the need to get the need to, when you let go of all your attachments here, when there's nothing to keep you here, it feels rapturous and joyful. And I'm glad I could experience that a second time. The first time I experienced that was over the summer when I imagined I'll never get a girlfriend, I will die single, I will never have sex again. Let's be happy about it. Let's find contentment in it. And now and after that I imagined, okay, I would find contentment in it by helping animals and helping my family. And now I said, okay, let's imagine them dying painful deaths and not in an accident. Someone did it purposely. And let's imagine forgiving them, letting go of the anger, of the identity of their protector. And I once again achieved that rapturous joy. I'm not saying I'm a changed person. I'm not saying I achieved this high transcendental. I use the word transcendental for lack of a better word. I'm not saying that this is going to make everything better, but I'm saying in the future, I want to keep this experience in mind when I feel low. I want to remember, okay, completing the hard work is great. Discipline is great, but I never felt like I got closer to truth and God than I did at that moment. So maybe I'm going to keep doing this, keep bringing up to mind what's the worst case scenario and accept it. I hope you learned something from it. It's a bit longer than my usual videos, so I hope you learned something from it. And remember, it's not learning if your behavior doesn't change. Peace, brother.